Laura Loomer was banned from every major social media platform. I believe all of them. And yet, according to the Epoch Times, Florida congressional candidate Laura Loomer outraises incumbent Lois Frankel in third quarter. How can that be? I was told that deplatforming works. If you're not familiar, deplatforming is this idea that by banning someone from social media or by stopping their speech, you will shut them down and they won't be able to do their work. Now, obviously, to a certain extent, yes, obstructing someone's work can inhibit their progress. But will it work in the long run? No. I would actually state this is proof that by deplatforming Laura Loomer, they've made it harder to track her and figure out what she's doing, and now she's actually raising more money. So congratulations. All you've done is given her cover. Here's the thing. When Laura Loomer's on social media, she will tell you what she's working on, and activists who don't like it can challenge it. Now they can't, because now they have no idea what she's doing. You see the problem here? They like to point to like Milo Yiannopoulos and say, but that proves it. But I can debunk that as well. Deplatforming does not work. This might be a little longer than normal. I got a bunch of sources to go through, but let's read the first story from the Epoch Times. Now, before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's multiple ways you can do it. Of course, the best thing you can do is just share this video. If you think I make a good point and you think other people should, hear what I have to say, if I'm deserving of it, share the video. Otherwise, let's read on. Epoch Times reports, Laura Loomer, who is running for a U.S. House seat in Florida, has outraised incumbent Rep. Lois Frankel, a Democrat, in the third quarter. Loomer's candidacy has attracted attention outside of the state because she's one of a growing number of people who have been banned from multiple platforms, such as Twitter and PayPal, an effort by big tech companies that has brought increasing criticism from federal lawmakers and officials, including Donald Trump. Federal Election Commission records show Loomer raised $154,311 in the third quarter, despite being without a platform on major social media websites. How can that be? How is she doing this? Perhaps what these people, these activists, don't seem to understand is that Twitter is not real life. And while I fully believe that they are dominating the comments, taking over town hall and the water cooler, and we should fight back against it, you also have to realize that a universe exists outside of social media, and there are still grassroots tactics to getting attention and raising money, and all you do when you ban someone is cover what they're doing. Listen, you look at cancel culture as a whole, and there is something good in this concept, and it's that we can now see what people think on a regular basis. Back in the day, you could only hear what someone thought for a few minutes or a few seconds in a soundbite on TV, and you didn't really know what they were all about. Now we have a clearer picture because people tweet all the time. And that means when Laura Loomer tweets stuff, if you agree with it or disagree with it, you can see that. Their fear, I guess, on the left is that she rallies a base because of it, but she could do that anyway. Think about it. If I go door to door, I only have to say positive things about myself, and who's going to say otherwise? On social media, you can show, hey, look at this thing they said that you might not like. I'll put it this way. If I'm running for office, and there's the we like riding bicycles and we like skateboarding, both different sides of town, and they both hate each other. Skateboarders and BMXers, ooh, it's a fierce rivalry. Not really, but I'm making a joke. I can go to the skateboarding side and be like, I too dislike skateboarders, those rapscallions. And the biking people will be like, that's really cool. And they'll sign my, petition or donate. Then I go to the skateboarding side and I say, those bikers, man, their pegs destroy ledges and we got to do something about that. And the skateboarders say, oh, and they sign my. You see, the thing is, on social media, if I wanted to tell the world what I think, I can't play that game because it's going to be available for everyone to see immediately. This is the benefit to society, but it's also a detriment in that you might say something and then years later, all of a sudden there's no skateboarders anymore. All the BMXers then see you ragging on BMXers and they're like, how dare you challenge our bikes? So there's a good thing in that social media has democratized and opened up our ability to speak. It also allows us to expose those we don't like. Let's read on. They say Frankel, 71, raised about $104,000 in the third quarter. Frankel has raised $435,191 since the beginning of the year. Frankel represents Florida's 21st. She has been in Congress since 2013. She was a member of the Florida House of Representatives from 1987 to 93 and 95 to 03. Loomer, 26, a political activist and journalist, announced her run for Frankel's seat on August 2nd. They say the fundraising total indicates Loomer is the top Republican candidate in the race. Michael Bloomling Jr., a combat veteran, came in second in fundraising on the GOP side, but managed just $20,937. Look at that. Laura's raising what? 7 times, more than 7 times what the second place contender raised, all without social media. So I think this should be fair. It would be absolutely fair to say, we can see here, banning her did not stop her in any way. She's raising tons of money. She still has tons of support, and now there's nothing to challenge her. You have made a grave error, activists. Now I understand. Laura did rely on these platforms in a lot of ways, and she was extremely angry at being removed because she has opinions that these tech companies don't like. I'm not here to talk about her politics or anything like that. I'm simply pointing out that while yes, getting banned is massively detrimental, there is an advantage she now has. They have effectively thrown a cloak over Laura, providing her with a stealth cover, and they can't track what she's doing anymore. So listen, in the end, it's pros and cons, okay? Ultimately, I think the loss of the social media platforms is substantially worse. And just because, Laura is able to get by through alternative means doesn't mean she is not being inconvenienced and facing a large challenge. It's possible she could have raised more money if she was on social media. But the point is, now they can't do anything about it. You can't. What are you going to do? You can't ban her from real life. Nope. She's going to raise money. She's going to go door to door. She's going to go person to person. And she's going to do things, guess what? Like regular human beings. Something like 80+% of America is not on Twitter. The only thing you accomplish when you ban someone or deplatform them, particularly from Twitter, is you take them out of the press. This is what's funny, right? I was thinking about this deplatforming. And because Twitter is primarily like one of the biggest communities is journalism, it makes sense. Twitter is great for news and sharing and things like that. When someone's on Twitter, journalists see them and then assume it's important and they write about it. When that person is not on Twitter, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, they're gone. Take a look at Milo. When Milo was banned from Twitter, they said over and over again, deplatforming Milo worked. And it's like the dude had millions of followers on Facebook. And I'm like, no, he's still doing the same thing. You just aren't paying attention because you live on Twitter. Well, then Facebook banned Milo and Laura and Paul Joseph Watson. And, Milo has expressed, he's been upset about it. And there is some bigger news on the Milo side. They try to claim this is proof, once again, that deplatforming works, but I can easily debunk this. First, we can point to Laura Loomer. She's raising a ton of money. Okay, now what are you going to do? You don't even know where she is or who she's talking to or what she's planning. Congratulations. You've just put her out of sight. You didn't do anything. I grant that I understand that getting banned is a serious problem. Check this out. From last month, Milo Yiannopoulos says he's broke. I can't put food on the table this way. And many people on the left say this proves it. Because a year before, they said Milo Yiannopoulos' collapse shows that no platforming can work. No, it doesn't. You're wrong. You're not doing your research. Vice, Vox, all you have to do is a Google search. But you know what? It's all about the politics, man. They don't like Milo. Look, I've got some criticism for Milo that I've said over and over again. Notably, that he was fat shaming a guy in a gym. It's like, dude, you won. The guy agrees. He's working hard to fix himself. Stop ragging on him, okay? But the problem with Milo is not that he was deplatformed, although that does have an impact. I fully understand that. Milo has 856,000 subscribers on YouTube. You're going to tell me that his woes are due to being deplatformed? To an extent, sure. But if Milo wanted to, he could easily just start making more videos. Let me tell you something. The last video he made, it says Milo and I on Free Speech TV 1 month ago got 21,000 views. The video before that was just a 1-minute promo. It's 40 seconds, then a 1-minute promo. He did an hour and 13-minute straight Pride Parade thing with 93,000 views. Milo and Sargon, 3 hours, 190,000 views. Most of the videos he produces, look at this one. He made a parody of Ilhan Omar for 10 minutes and got 267,000 views. You know what the CPMs on YouTube are like? I think they average like $4 or $5. He would have made a decent amount of money if he kept doing this. The issue with Milo has nothing to do with deplatforming. It has to do with Milo. And if Milo started producing regular YouTube content, yeah, he'd be fine. The issue is not deplatforming. And it's evidenced by the fact that while Milo is apparently saying he's broke, he still has nearly 1 million followers on YouTube, while Laura Loomer, who doesn't have any platforms, raised $154,000. So you want to act like deplatforming is this big, powerful thing. In the end, it's not. And I'll tell you this. I just decided to look this up, okay? How can we de-radicalize people? Is it true that deplatforming is better because of radicalization? No. Let me tell you a secret. It's not really a secret. I'm kind of being facetious. Several years ago, I was invited by YouTube to a meeting of a bunch of creators. It was very progressive because all of the things YouTube does when they invite people down is progressive. And surprise, surprise, YouTube's invited me to several. I recently got invited to a handful of very progressive social justice themed events. I couldn't go because I work too much. But YouTube frequently invites me to these things. The one I went to, man, this was years and years and years ago. Maybe 2012 or 13. They were trying to figure out how to de-radicalize people on YouTube and stop the expansion of extremist content. And all of these people had this idea of trying to tell the people why they're wrong. And I said, no, wait, you can't do that. You can't go to somebody who's radicalized and say, you were radicalized, you were wrong, you must listen to me. They're going to be like, what? No. And whatever they believe, they're going to say, you're trying to trick me, or I don't believe you, or you're wrong, or you don't know what's really going on, things like that. So I said, it's actually quite simple, the way you de-radicalize people. You treat them like people. You don't approach them as though they're a different, strange other. You don't silence them. You don't punish them. You treat them like you treat everyone else. You bring them into society. Because when you take a small group of people with crazy views and bring them into a larger, more welcoming space, they slowly start to adopt the wider culture of it. There's a mix to a certain degree, but for the most part, larger culture consumes smaller one. It's complicated. I know that's going to spark a whole bunch of debate. But the point is, according to foreignpolicy.com, it's actually what they said back in November, and it's been repeated over and over and over again. There's that famous story of the Westboro Baptist Church woman who was de-radicalized by being on Twitter because she was exposed to ideas she was not exposed to before. And in this, they basically say the same thing. You need a cognitive opening. You need a space for self. Here's what they say. They say radicalization and de-radicalization studies. David Kohler argues that de-radicalization can only happen when an individual has a cognitive opening and an environment that supports personal reflection. In this kind of environment, a program could then initiate de-radicalization by applying and engaging what psychologists and researchers term the significance quest theory as one component of the de-radicalization process. Now, I'll admit, I'm not going to read through this whole thing. And it may disagree to an extent with my views and be more specific. That's fine. The point I'm trying to say is, when I went to these meetings with YouTube, and the first one was interesting, because this was back in, I think 2012, right? And there was one person who had the absolute correct way to normalize and de-radicalize. And they said, why not make a show showing these people and showing them do normal things and interacting in normal ways in a humorous context that's relatable and an opening environment, like a sitcom. And I said, that's it. For people who, on both sides, who might hate each other, we need to show the humanity and bring people together and find commonality. When you start treating people specifically with the dividing line, well, then you're strengthening the divide and you're building a barrier while demanding they get pulled on your side, and they're going to say, you can't make me do this. I went to another event a few years later that made me extremely angry because it was supposed to be about the same thing, but there was a great evolution at YouTube, and this was, I think, 2016, where they said, we're going to end hate and all that. And what did they do? They just made fun of Trump supporters all day, and I got angry. And I said, I don't want to sit here and have you claim you're ending hate, and then you just mock and belittle people you don't like or don't understand. That is the opposite of what I want to do. I want to bring people together. I want to understand and respect them. And not everybody is deserving of respect. There are left-wing and right-wing personalities who deserve none, who deserve nothing but disrespect. Well, I shouldn't say that. For the most part, I think you can dislike somebody, but the best thing you can do is at least try to give them some respect in some capacity if you want to communicate with them effectively. And I look to Daryl Davis, famous for de-radicalization, because he was willing to give despicable people the human respect and dignity. And it worked. And they respected him back. And he helps pull people back. And that's the perfect example. So let me wrap this up. This doesn't need to be super long. If Milo wants to not be broke, he can start making YouTube videos. He has a massive platform. On a single channel, he has more followers, more subscribers than I do. You know, I understand combined my channels have like 1.5 million or whatever. All you accomplish, though, when you ban someone from Twitter is that news stops talking about them. So maybe that's a good thing for them, I suppose, but it doesn't mean they're not working. And it doesn't mean they're not successful. I would argue Laura Loomer raising this money shows that her ability to generate attention has not been diminished even after, well, to an extent it has, obviously. But her ability to grow and become successful has not been diminished following the, or has not been stopped following deplatforming. That while they may have restricted her in many capacities and made it harder, she's still in their face succeeding. Well, congratulations. You're not solving the problem. You're not engaging with people. You're not creating dialogue. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm just going to tell you that deplatforming doesn't work. Milo is not an example of deplatforming. Vox, you are incorrect. He has a massive YouTube platform. He just doesn't use it. Okay? Laura Loomer doesn't have these resources, and she isn't broke. She just raised more than 7 times what second place raised. Okay? So I'll tell you what, man. A world exists outside the internet. And you are not making life better by advocating for censorship and the restriction of these people. In fact, you're making it so that they're segmented off to a separate space that will never bring people together. You are strengthening the divide and making it harder for us to resolve the political divide in this country. Well, there you go. Well, I guess Laura is proving them wrong. Regardless of what you think of her, your opinions, I don't care about any of that. Deplatforming didn't stop her. Okay, congratulations. And it didn't stop Milo either. As much as you want to think that, it didn't. You need, whatever, I'm done. Next segment will be at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.